Privatization Council approves payment of 1.3 billion naira outstanding redundancy benefits to SACCO's ex-staff. AMCON charges gulp 269 billion naira from banks' earnings. Ghana suspends servicing of Eurobond and bilateral debts. Plus, crude oil price rises as US seeks to restock strategic petroleum reserve. This is Business Express on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority, the NTA, and we're reaching you from Abuja, the nation's capital. I am Leah Katung. Babatunde. You're welcome. And we start off with some cheering news. In a bid to provide succor and ensure the payment of the entitlements of ex-workers of aviation ground handling service provider Skyway Aviation Handling Company PLC SACCO, the National Council on Privatization NCP, presided over by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, has approved the sum of 1.371 billion naira for the settlement of outstanding redundancy benefits owed the workers. This was one of the highlights of the 6th meeting of the council held at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. Gideon Ifade reports.
The Director General of the Bureau of Public Enterprises, Alex Oko, had presented a memo to Council seeking its approval for the payment of the sum due to the ex-SACCO workers. After deliberation on the matter, the Council gave the approval for the outstanding severance entitlements of the ex-workers to be paid. The Council also received an update on the development of a 1,650 megawatts hydropower plant in Makurdi, Benue State, particularly the inauguration of the Project Steering Committee and the proposed publication on the expression of interest for the engagement of a transaction advisor for the project. Regarding the update on the concession of the Zungeru hydroelectric power plant, the Council was informed that requests for qualification were received from 11 consortiums, out of which 3 were shortlisted to present proposals for the concession. Further updates were received on the sale of 5 NIPP power plants, particularly the engagement with the Nigerian Governors Forum on the NIPP transaction, and the resolution by the governors to constitute a committee to review the transaction and revert to the Bureau. On the restructuring of the Kano, Benin, Kaduna, Ibadan, and Port Harcourt discos, Council was informed that the notifications of change of directors for all the discos had been filed at the Corporate Affairs Commission, while the Bureau of Public Enterprises has issued guidelines to the banks and lenders for the sale of their 60% shares in the assets.
Banks' payments to the Assets Management Corporation of Nigeria, AMCON sinking fund, have continued to swell despite the position of the shareholders and the International Monetary Fund IMF that it should be scrapped. Findings on the fund's update show a 22.6% rise to 269.35 billion naira to the 9 months September 30th, 2022 from 219.51 billion naira in the corresponding period in 2021. But bank sources put the figure at more than 300 billion naira with payments from small banks. This is coming amid a renewed call for winding up of the AMCON, otherwise known as Bad Bank, by different stakeholders in the financial market. The International Monetary Fund IMF had in its staff concluding statement of the 2022 Article 4 mission advised the authorities in Nigeria to resolve weak smaller banks and proceed with the winding down of the Public Assets Management Company AMCON by the end of the year 2023. Let's now take a look at the official exchange rate of the Naira. Nigeria's inflation rose to 21.47% in November 2022 from 21.09% in October 2022, says the National Bureau of Statistics. This is a 6.07% increase compared to the corresponding period in November 2021 that stood at 15.4%, which means that in the month of November 2022, the general price level was 6.07% higher relative to November 2021, the highest peak in at least 17 years. The NBA stated that increase in cost of importation, production, energy, and currency depreciation are responsible for the year-on-year increase. The 0.15% increase recorded month-on-month was attributed to the sharp increase in demand usually experienced during the festive season. The food inflation rate also increased to 24.13% on a year-on-year basis, a 6.92% higher compared to 17.21% recorded in November 2021. Core inflation, which excludes the prices of volatile agricultural produce, stood at 18.24% in November 2022, up by 4.39% when compared to 13.85% recorded in November 2021. Now, the rate at which inflation has been accelerating in the country has been a major source of concern, and the Central Bank of Nigeria is adopting different measures to tame the surge in inflation. Some of the steps taken is the redesigning of the Naira and the new cash withdrawal limits. With me in the studio to discuss issues around inflation and what, of course, can be done to decelerate it and its effect on the economies and economies. Ishao Aliu, you're welcome to Business Expert.
Thank you and good morning.
Good morning to you.
Thank you.
Yes, so precisely, a lot of people will be wondering, how did we get here, 21.47%?
We get here because one of the main contention is our consumption habit. When we are what we are consuming and how we consume has an impact as to what inflation is about today. The second is the supply bottlenecks, which has hindered so much of supply of most especially the agri output, which is the recording so high, up to about above 24%. And the third one is policy rating by the central bank. I have said times that number that if central bank will concentrate in raising the MPR and CRR to control inflation, when the liquidity is not in control with the central bank, then there is a serious gap between the policy and the real inflation on ground. The reason simple is the fact that you recall there was flooding, and flooding took away most of the agri produce, and especially recorded so much of loss because perishable items that's supposed to have rich market are trapped on the road, and that recorded heavy loss, and that heavy loss triggered price to change. And when price changes, marketers take advantage of the price and continue to manipulate the price and continue to reap the benefit. Another angle to which inflation is also hammered is because most of what we produce, even though we produce most of our food locally, but the component at which is helping the agri, especially the pump price of the AGO or PMS is high in the world market. So we are importing inflation and then attaching it to what we produce locally. These are some of the things that is attacking our dream to have a stable price in the economy.
Okay, great. You mentioned something about the CBN. I want to take you on that. Of course, part of the mandate of the central bank is to ensure price stability, but clearly we've seen this year that the MPC decided to, you have mentioned it, push up the rates, but clearly this hasn't yielded the desired results because we're seeing inflation rise, and already the fundamentals are showing that by the time we're looking at our GDP numbers, it might not really be the desired. So basically, should we continue to hike rates?
No, we cannot. And that is, and I was surprised when the CBN insists that they must be, as so far as inflation is going high, that they are going to be hiking the rate. It's not going to work. It's not going to work based on the fact that from October to November is the highest point at which, when we are redesigning our currency in attempt to pull back the liquidity back to financial sector. What we are supposed to be understanding in this business is the fact that raising MPR when the liquidity is not in control of the financial market, you are just raising inflation indirectly because you are pushing the cost of borrowing high. And you are also pushing the cost at which people should be benefiting in the economy, more especially those who have existing loan. Banks review the loan when you push the rate up, and you are eroding their income. And once you erode their income, definitely the cost of borrowing will be high, and there will be slow productivity. And when there is slow productivity, it means that what is about coming to the market will also be affected because the supply will not be the supply will not be there. And that is why today you find most of the things manufactured in Nigeria, produced in Nigeria, even if it is not food related, their prices still go up because the cost of borrowing is going higher, and there is no alternative that producers and manufacturers will use except that they shift the price. And by shifting the price, you are now putting pressure to inflationary factors.
Okay, and we're actually at the end of the year, and we have seen prices already, as you have mentioned, of produce, Nigerian produce, on the high side. But the CBN just told us recently that that there's been some considerable impacts on the interventions it has made across sectors. What will be your position on that? Have they done enough?
You see, if the interventions are working, what we are going to see change in the general price level. And if that intervention is working to curb inflation, we are going to see a reduction. But if I am to advise the central bank, this is not time to change the monetary policy rate. The CBN should maintain the highest so far, 16.5%, the 100 basis at which the central bank is thinking to be checkmating the excesses of money supply. Now the money supply is not even known to the central bank. One of the factor is that we are redesigning our currency. Now we don't know how much will cost the economy when the redesign is over by 31st of October. The meaning of this is that the fact that how much is central bank expecting to pull back to the financial market, and if that is not recorded, what are we going to do with the lost? That is because many people may not be opportune to have their currency exchanged by the central bank. So there is going to be loss from that angle. And how are we going to cope with that one? Second, the cash limit, as you rightly pointed out, cash limit, there is no economy that can operate without cash limit. But there is also need to study the behavior at which the central bank has put the economy within the last 12 years. Because since 2012, when this cashless policy was introduced, central bank took it more sophisticated by trying to introduce the concept in modern cities like Lagos, Abuja, Kano, and probably Kaduna. These are good trends at which the central bank should look. Remember that if you take cash limit and governors are complaining, why are governors complaining? Because they are politicians. They are complaining bitterly because you want to take large sums of cash with them because the election is approaching. That one can be negotiated. But for the economy, the common man who is using his legitimate income to transact business, there is no need for me, if I am to purchase a car that worth 5 million naira, to go to bank and cash 5 million, waste my time, waste the banker's time, and then come and go to the car point and then waste their time to counting 5 million naira. These are exchange that can be done electronically, and that is what is called cashless. But in a situation where you train Nigerians from 2012 to 2022 the habit of withdrawing cash limit of 150 and then limiting it to only 20,000 naira daily and 100,000, it cannot, the psychology cannot take it. That is why the central bank is having it more challenging than never thought, because you are used to 150 cash withdrawal limit. Probably you have two banks. You are operating two banks, because most of the Nigerians, they don't operate a single bank. They have account with one bank, Bank A and Bank B. And if they are to take 300,000, they have that prior opportunity to go and take 150 and then transact business. But now you're not limited to 20,000. It's not friendly. There is going to be change of review. And I have said it in one of the programs Nigeria Today on the NTA, that even the timing of redesigning and the timing of this cash limit is not also friendly. Sometimes you study consumer, because a consumer based on Hickson analysis is that person. Do you understand? Is that person that always try to maximize benefit. So at any point in time, when you are making consumer, you are limiting consumer satisfaction, he will be reacting, because it is the same CBN that gave the opportunity. So now that we are thinking that probably there must be cash limit, we know economy can take people to be taking hundreds of million cash, and then without making use of it. They are shortchanging that currency, that note that is printed, even though it is my own, because I work for it, as therefore the word is my own, not the currency. People should understand. And CBN is now being proactive to educating Nigerians, especially when they are challenged with the POS, and they are trying to tell the Nigerian public that even the POS is 1.4 million. Yes, of course we have 1.4 million POS in operation, but we need more of POS operation, because that POS is not cash point in the first instance. It is point of sales. It is given to people who are engaging in small businesses that can help the cashless policy to succeed. So CBN should educate Nigerians that POS is not point of cash. So, but the
now POC.
It's POC. It's POS, point of sale. So, if it is POS, so what is the use of POS? POS, it is used to help cash management, to help banking services, to ease businesses and do the transaction. Then how can CBN succeed? CBN can call the ginger producers at their local, educate them. There are CBN centers all around Nigeria. They should engage. If they don't have the capacity, they should engage personnel that are qualified to assist them, to educate the ginger producers, the carrot producers. You can have a small organization and take your POS, and then those who are coming to buy at your local point, you can make easy transaction. And if that is done, people will take this cashless policy, people will take the cash limit policy more simple and more understanding.
Okay, so now let me just come in there. While we're looking at all this, we will not forget that we also have the fiscal authorities that a lot of people say the environment is crowding them out to do decent businesses, especially the MSMEs.
Definitely it is true, but in my own understanding, the medium scale, micro medium enterprises, is a component that produce over 40% to the growth of the economy. So if there is any policy to assist them, that policy should have an orientation within that policy, because most of the small enterprises that are cash crunch, probably because of one factor or the other, they need orientation. You can operate, like I said initially. Small businesses does not mean that you cannot have the POS, the point of sale business, that you can transact your business. Being small business does not mean that you must make use of cash to succeed. The desire, most of the saying that most of these MSCs are going to collapse because we extend cash limit is not true. But the right education is not given. The only thing to do is to educate them. Look, it is good to manage this cash. Today, Nigeria has a size of $510 billion economy. When you translate that, you have over 45 trillion in circulation. Once you have that, that capacity, and the small and medium enterprises are the greater participant in this business, how are they succeeding? They are succeeding because there are facilities to succeed. What are those facilities? The facilities first is financial sector. You have micro small banks that you can operate. You also have central bank intervention if you are qualified. But how to maximize the benefit is to make them understand, is to educate them, because there is no way they grow in different directions. CBN and medium enterprises must work together to succeed.
Okay, I must sincerely thank you. It's just anchored there. They must work together to succeed.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Yeshua, for
Thank you,
coming on the
Leah.
program.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. So we move on now with a trip to the commodities market. The trading activities on the floor of the Nigerian exchange closed Monday with a gain of 53 billion in market capitalization as bulls regained their grip on the local bourse. The all-share index increased by 0.2% to close at 49,316.29 points. Meanwhile, market breadth closed positive as Thomas Wyatt led 14 gainers with 10 losers, topped by PZ at the end of Monday's session. And of course, that marks the beginning of the close of the year. And of course, eyes will be poised to see a positive ending. But then let's take a trip outside the country. Let's join Bosti Abel.
European markets are heading for a lower open Tuesday as investors assess the interest rate outlook for 2023. Asia markets traded lower, with greater Chinese markets leading losses in the region despite government's pledges to stabilize the economy in 2023. The Shanghai Composite fell 1.07% to 3,073.77 as the city announced it will shut most schools again Monday as the number of COVID cases surge. The Shenzhen Composite fell 1.5% to 11,124.7. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index fell 1.45% and the Nikkei also dipped 2.46%. U.S. stock futures fell Tuesday morning, reversing directions after the Bank of Japan announced to widen its yield target range. Futures tied to the Dow Jones Industrial Average lost 911 points. S&P 500 futures and Nasdaq 100 futures also are on the negative territory. Most African markets are expected to open lower on Tuesday with a global trend, with South Africa's JSE Africa Top 40 and Namibia's overall index taking the lead. Boss Sede Ebo, Business Express.
And still on that scene, the Ministry of Finance in Ghana says it has suspended the servicing of most of its external debts amid worsening economic crisis. This suspension will include the payments on Eurobonds, commercial term loans, and most of the bilateral debts. According to the release, the decision is an interim additional emergency measure to prevent further deterioration of that economic, financial, and social situation that is on ground in Ghana. This suspension will not include multilateral debt, new debt contracts after December 19, 2022, or debts related to certain short-term trade facilities. That wraps Business Express for now. Remember to send in your comments, observations, and suggestions. Also be informed that all previous episodes are available on YouTube on the NTA's channel. You can also communicate with us via our various social media platforms. Business Express returns Wednesday at 3 p.m. I am Leah Katung Babatunde, saying have a wonderful day and God bless Nigeria.